At the State Street Summit this week. I attended at the Walnut Room at Marshall Field Building. It was about economic development. It was a meeting for Chicago's Central Business District. They started out by telling us that State Street probably never was all that great. It always had some grit and some grime. Although high fashion moved to Michigan Avenue years ago, the Loop is the transportation hub for the city, and it's never going to go out of style. At the summit, panel members shared different views of the past, present, and future. If you take a poll of what people want, it's often evenly divided between safety, things to do, and open spaces. Currently, we have a ceasefire in the Middle East over conflicting worldviews. We all need to make our 10-point plan and then call for a 2-week ceasefire. We want everything all cleaned up, figured out, and in order. The symptom of all that is not being so sure. Use your day today instead of letting it use you. Welcome. Welcome to Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Coffee Hour, we talk about pretty much everything and nothing. Recently, we talked about the rescue of the missing airmen in Iran, social justice without God, and how probably everything we know is fake. The readings at Washington National Cathedral last Easter Sunday were from the Acts of the Apostles. God shows no partiality. And from Galatians, seek the things that are from above. Gospel reading was from John. Don't hold on to the past. The sermon at Washington National Cathedral was by Randy Hollerith. Randy talked about living in a world of fear in a loving way, sticking around when everything says we should run for the hills. Sometimes we feel like we're diagonally parked in a parallel universe. Life isn't easy. In every time and place, there's plenty to be afraid of. There are fears, but we don't need to be afraid of them. Christ went to the cross. We need not fear the cross. Christ took on pain and suffering, and we need not fear pain and suffering. Christ went to the grave, and we do not need to fear the grave. We don't need to deny that the world is broken. We can proclaim that the future belongs to God and not to fear. We know how the story ends, not certain of everything, but confident that the Lord has risen, and he has risen indeed. The sermon at St. James Cathedral was by Lisa Hackney James. She preached about the many trials, challenges, and hardships in life, and the many joys. On our Lenten journey, we did a deep dive into the worst of times: persecution, denial, hypocrisy in Christ's time, paralleled with racism, white nationalists, and warring nation states in our time, all governed over by tyrannical figures. At Easter, we lean into the preposterous idea that all of this is reconciled in Christ. It defies reason and logic. Lisa also shared that in the timeline of the book of John's account of the death and resurrection of Christ, he's already been anointed and prepared for burial. There's no need to go to the tomb after the Sabbath, as the other accounts depict. There is no tidying up, just the encounter and then the joy. There's a little liturgical gaslighting going on to make the story conform with how we see the world. It's reconciling the fake world to the real world that we never quite see. Christ is way ahead of us. As much as we want to control our destiny, Christ is our destiny, and we must follow him. We just did that for 40 days of Lent, and now we have the joy of Easter morning. At the State Street Summit in the Walnut Room, I was reminded of a similar meeting there when I worked at Marshall Fields. It was Phil Miller's announcement of a major renovation of the State Street store that would take the flagship enterprise from $150 million in annual sales to $250 million. The reception had champagne and a torch singer. It was a real party. 1987 was one of those convergent times when perception spilled over into the reality of the way we want to see things, and nobody had to apologize for it. Thomas Carlyle, Scottish philosopher, offered running commentary in his time, the Victorian era. The Victorian era was noted for wanting an answer to everything, and everything had to be well defined and buttoned up and in its place. The symptom of that was doubt, and Carlyle's commentary was wildly popular because it fed a sneaking suspicion of that parallel reality. State Street may never be great again, and perhaps it never was great in the first place, but people have worked there, earned a living there, and lived their lives there, and they will in the future. If you're not having a good time on the way to and from the tomb, that's on you. We need to make the day work for us and not let the day rule over us instead. Get your 10-point plan in order. Find the peace of a ceasefire and lean into the reality that the best is yet to come. If you would like to join us at coffee hour, I will include my email in the description of this video. Be happy to send you an invitation, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.